Hello, good evening all. It's a pleasure to have you back with us. Today, we're going to start this evening with a scientific channel talking about constellations. So enjoy this evening and stay with us in the BBC.
Hello everyone, we are now in a new episode of the Astronomy Corner. Today, we're going to talk about the stars and its constellations. We're first talking about its definition and some general information about it. So let's start. Constellations are groups and arrangements of stars that create imaginary creatures and objects when the stars are being connected by imaginary lines. Not all stars are part of a constellation, just the ones that can create a type of shape. This arrangement of stars has many uses. First of all, they help name meteor showers based on the constellation they came from. Sailors also use a technique called celestial navigation that consists on determining their location at the sea and guiding themselves by the well-known stars and constellations. There are officially 88 constellations, with their main ones being Ursa Major, which creates the Great Bear, Ursa Minor, the Little Bear, and Orion, the Hunter. These three constellations are famous for being easy to find at night. Since earlier times, constellations has received names that symbolize meteorological phenomena, religion, mythological beliefs, and even zodiac signs. Zodiac signs are the groups of constellations that the sun passes throughout a year. There are 13 astronomical zodiac constellations, which some are Capricornios, Pisces, and Libra. Now, you may want to check your zodiac sign and its meaning, but first, I'm gonna let Juan Diego talk about the North and South constellation and its position on Earth.
Thanks for that, Santoscoy. So I'm going to talk about North and South constellation and their position on Earth. As Earth travels around the Sun, the nighttime side of the Earth faces a different part of outer space. Because of this, different constellations are visible depending on the time of the year, but certain constellations can be seen all year long in some places because they are above the North Pole or below the South Pole. The constellations located close to the North or South celestial poles can only be seen from their respective hemispheres. Other constellations can be spotted from both hemispheres, although their exact orientation and how high they appear in the sky depends on the observer's latitude. The North Star, the one that marks the position of the North Celestial Pole, is visible in the northern hemisphere, as well as the constellations near the North Star, which are called circumpolar constellations. These ones circle around the north and stay up there all year long. The North Hemisphere circumpolar constellations include the Ursa Major, the Ursa Minor, Zephyrus, and Cassiopeia. Then, the South Hemisphere, on the other hand, does not have its own southern star, but it does have a number of circumpolar constellations that are unique to that part of the world. Thank you, and now we go with my partner, Fajardo.
Thank you. The International Astronomical Union, the IAU, has officially approved 88 constellations. These constellations are based both on Roman and Greek mythology. On the Greek side, it was Homer who mentioned the Orion among other constellations in his great epic poems like the Iliad. In Greek mythology, the Orion was allegedly a hunter who died tragically, and the gods felt bad for him, so they sent him to the sky and made him a constellation. On the Roman side, it was Ptolemy of Alexandria who is responsible for finding 48 constellations. Among those 48 constellations, he found the 12 zodiac signs that up to this day are still the most recognizable constellations throughout the world. And that is due because they are connected to personality traits. Like, for example, people who have the constellation Gemini as a zodiac are believed to be characterized as clever, extroverted, and yet indecisive. On the other hand, Chinese astronomers identified 28 lunar constellations that are divided into 4 groups, and each group has 7 constellations, and each group has also an animal that has a symbological meaning that, according to the lunar calendar, can be represented as positive or negative. As well, the Chinese sky is divided into 5 regions. The most important one is the middle region because there is where the emperor or the highest power would be placed. The concubine, the prince, are the most recognizable Chinese constellations because they are connected with life on Earth. Now, Huerta will talk to you about the constellations we can find in Mexico.
Thank you, Luciana. And now, for those people who love space and live especially in Mexico, do you really know which constellations you can see throughout the year? Well, here I give you a list. During spring, you can see Ursa Major, Boots, Cancer, Leo, Coma Berenice, Virgo, and Hydra. During summer, you can see Dragon, Hercules, the Swan, and the Eagle. In fall, there is Andromeda, Aquarius, Cassiopeia, Cepheus, Pegasus, Perseus, the Whale, Aries, the Lizard, and the Fishes. And finally, during winter, there is Argon, Orion, Eridus, Gemini, Taurus, the Unicorn, Canis Major, and Keel. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. See you next time. I can see some clouds and possibly a constellation.
September 25th, 11 o'clock, Colinas de San Javier, Zapopan, Jalisco, we can see this really bright star.
It is really hard to see it, but we can appreciate Cygnus.
In here, it's hard to see, but we can appreciate Cygnus.